got a call one day from a dear friend of mine. His name was Sylvester Stewart, and the folks might know him as Sly Stone.
That's right.
He called me. He said, JB, are you tired of being a square? I said, okay, what are you talking about? He said, well, come down to Los Angeles and work for me. So I looked at my buddy Bubba, and we looked at each other and said, let's go. And we went, jumped on a plane and went to L.A., and Sly had just bought Isaac Hayes' house in Mandeville Canyon.
Wow.
And we went to Mandeville Canyon, top of the mountain, big white palatial palace, and white horses on the lot. And we started working in the music business and traveling the world with Sly and the Family Stone.
It's Motivational Monday, and welcome to Conversations with me, David Ibarra, and my guest, my brother, James Brown.
Hey, I feel good, too. I'm telling you, brother. Hey, thank you for inviting me. I look forward to our conversation, man.
Well, I tell you what, this is going to be delightful, I am sure. I want to start right from the beginning. We've got something right in front of James, and I believe they call that an Emmy.
Well, you know what? I stopped chasing women when I got older, and they started coming to me. And this little lady came to me and said, you're doing excellent work. So I'm honored that the National Academy of Television Arts and Science awarded this to me and my program for the excellence in working with seniors. So I'm really excited about it.
And the name of that program is Living
and Aging with Pride.
With Pride.
Yes.
And our host, James Brown.
Hey.
Well, that just sounds good, doesn't it?
It sounds like a record, man. We should write a record, you know?
We could.
I think we can.
You know what I'd like to do? I want to go to to your beginnings, but right now, since we're on Living and Aging with Pride, the program, let's talk a little bit about where did this idea come from? What were you thinking? Tell me the road, the journey to receiving that Emmy.
You know, it's interesting. I went through a divorce and found myself sitting on an island by myself, and I'm getting older. And my landlord came to me one day and he said, James, I've got to raise your rent. And I said, okay, raise my rent, you know? So he come back and raised my rent from $1,000 to $2,500.
Wow.
And I said, wait a minute, hold on here for a minute. Let's talk about this. And so a friend of mine owns a big complex. He owns about 9,000 properties. And he said, I got a place for you to stay. I said, cool. Well, when I got into this place, I looked around and the seniors were angry and they were upset. And I said, what's wrong? I said, I'm smiling. I'm going, how are you today? And they were all with attitude. And I thought, wow, this is crazy. So I said, I'm going to help them. I'm going to do a podcast because I'm one of them. And I was facing the same kinds of issues.
Let me ask. So the complex that you went to had a lot of retirees.
55 plus.
55 plus. So that was, and then when you find and go there, you find something in common.
Absolutely.
That these folks have been benched and lost their purpose.
Yes. And I said, I'm going to change that.
Right.
I'm going to be a spokesman and an advocate for older adults because I'm one.
Right.
And I found myself being neglected, and I'm going, how come nobody's talking to me? What's up with that, you know? And that's the big issue. That's what affects seniors. And so I started building this program. And I remember talking to you about it, and you gave me a shot of wisdom, and I said, I'm going to do this. And you said, okay, do it, you know? And we started doing it and building up episodes. I've now got a number of episodes that are all over the country. Starting April, we advanced to an hour-long program, and we'll be in 58 million households across the country, NBCs, ABCs, and CBSs, and it's already started. So we're excited about the fact that we can deliver a good message for the seniors, but for people in general. This is not just about the seniors. It's about the seniors and their families and our society.
Yes. You know, when you talk about that, James, you know, we've got this little slogan going on, and here I'll get myself in trouble, but we're the greatest nation on earth, and then we have no measurements to validate it.
Right.
So we just start to believe it. We sometimes aren't the best or the greatest nation on earth as it pertains to the wellness of our folks that are aging.
Absolutely.
And they sometimes feel forgotten. We don't automatically continue the like in Asia, where a individual that is 60 lives and has a role with the family. Sometimes we don't have a role for our elders.
And that's my platform, because when we grew up, we honored our older adults. We said, yes, ma'am, no, sir, and helped them across the streets. You know, we did all of those things. We don't do those things today. We take for granted that seniors are the lifeline that built America.
That's right.
You know, they have experienced what America was, is, and can be. And today it's a whole different thing.
And they paid a price.
Absolutely.
And they were happy to pay a price.
Absolutely.
So tell me, you had a great idea. It was really received easy, right?
What's easy?
Tell us about this journey.
And I still get resistance because people don't understand the difference between what the media is, television, and delivering a message. And I try to let them know that we've used media, television, all our lives. Newspapers, radio, television has been the deliverer of all the components we need to exist. So I fought to, not physically, but I fought.
Well, almost.
But inspiration and what have you, to get people to understand that we need to bring these collective stories together. We need to talk about it. And we also need to let our suppliers of wellness and fitness and medical support, that they need to rearrange their conversations and talk to us about what's wrong with us and how we can make it better for ourselves. And that's not happening.
Well, it seems to many it's about exclusion rather than inclusion.
Absolutely.
And when we look at it, the one thing that I always talk about in every seminar that I do, there's two compensations for everything that we do. One certainly is the compensation of currency. But the other is more valuable. It's the compensation of experiences and knowledge.
Absolutely.
And knowledge never ages.
Never.
And with our retired community, we're supposed to go and sit on a bench. Why not tap in to that knowledge? Elder, not elderly, become an elder.
Absolutely. And you know, when we look at the 70+ million seniors in this country, the largest population in America, you know, this is a workforce that we need to tap into. This is a workforce that comes to the table with knowledge of product, services, good customer service. They understand how to treat people because they know how they want to be treated. And we need to use that. And we need to work that. We need to work it into our system. We've forgotten what brought us to the table.
Well, you know, it's interesting in your community and in my community, the Latino community, most of us are used to having our grandparents absolutely a big part of our growing up.
Absolutely.
They were the mentors. They were the adult that had time to listen, to guide, because our parents were working.
Absolutely.
And that is getting lost. And we've got these folks that have retired from their occupation, still have knowledge, and then we have children that need guidance.
And understanding.
How do we bridge them together? And we can. Take a moment and picture in your mind igniting your child's journey to lifelong success from an early age. With Yes, Our Kids Can, this vision becomes a reality right from preschool. Don't miss this chance to shape your child's path towards extraordinary success. Enroll in the Yes Our Kids Can University now and witness the remarkable impact it can have on your child's growth and development. Secure your child's bright future today. Sign up now by clicking the link below.
Intergenerational separation is something that we attack. We want to show, for instance, I had a group of seniors working in schools in Detroit, and with the idea that they could help them with their homework, they can tell them about things, they can give them geographical information, all kinds of things, but most importantly, they can give them the confidence of learning, that learning is not a scary vehicle. It is a vehicle that will get you where you need to go.
Wow, yes. Powerful.
And that's what we do.
So it took some time to get people to take you serious.
Yes.
And I'll since I was viewing as you went along,
right.
It's interesting that oftentimes people look at an idea, then a very incredibly worthy cause that you have, living and aging with pride.
Yes.
But then they've got to ruin it by putting a dollar amount, how much can I earn as quickly as I can to host it, and the money equation has to be gotten over. And I'm sure that took you some time.
You know, people confuse the need for money, especially when you're doing a variety of different kind of programs. They don't understand that everything, this wonderful Emmy, costs money to produce. The foundry had to sketch it, make it, put it together, and pour the materials into a thing and heat it up and pull it out, and there it is. Everything takes money that's going to be presented on a scale that people can appreciate it, understand it, and respect it. And I have to look like, and I used to use Dr. Phil as a measurement, but I don't anymore, you know. But I used to use those shows as a measurement of where I wanted to be in terms of my presentation, only because they had a large proportion of the viewership across this country and around the world.
Right.
And I'm going after that target market, and I'm going to get it, you know. But we have to bring those things together. It is a tool, you know, to be used to the benefit of others.
Right. You know, there is nothing more satisfying than having somebody have a conversation with you, listening to your program, ending it with a smile and knowing they matter.
Absolutely.
Everyone matters.
Absolutely. I think we could get rid of some of the racism and all of that kind of stuff. I was trying to find another word, but nothing is better than that. We've put so much division in our society that it's stupid, because every person plays a significant role in building a great community, a great business, a great life, a great church. All of that takes a magnitude of different individuals to come together and make that all work, and we forget that. We forget that. You know, when we say a prayer, we don't just say a prayer for ourselves. We say a prayer for our humanity. And that's what we have to be. We have to represent our humanity.
One of the connectors that we can always hold on to, every living human being, or 99.9% of them, care about two things. They care about their children.
Yes.
And they care about their parents. And
absolutely.
And particularly the grandparents. And if we can connect those two things in bringing us together to better serve our children and our elderly, to be elders sharing experiences and wisdom, we can come together as a nation. We can come together as a people. We will
come together. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think it's we've got to let people know that your soul is responsible for your motivation and your stimulation. Use it, be it, do it, you know, and live a healthy life, you know.
Well, James, you're at a elderly age, as am I.
Yes.
And, you know, I can remember, as you can, when we were the youngest person in the room.
Absolutely.
And you know what's interesting?
Yes.
We're still in the room.
Ooh, big time. Painting the ceiling.
I want to go back and just pivot a little bit and talk about the young James Brown. Tell us about you. Where were you raised? Tell us about school.
I was born in San Francisco, California, Stanford Hospital. I went to school, high school. Galileo High School was my last high school, and O.J. Simpson was going to Galileo when I was there. And then I went to University of California, went to work for Shell Oil Company in the retail training department, and then I moved to marketing and services and handled 13 training facilities in 3 different states. And got a call one day from a dear friend of mine. His name was Sylvester Stewart, and the folks might know him as Sly Stone.
That's right.
He called me. He said, "JB, are you tired of being a square?" I said, "Okay, what are you talking about?" He said, "Well, come down to Los Angeles and work for me." So I looked at my buddy Bubba, and we looked at each other and said, "Let's go." And we went, jumped on a plane and went to L.A., and Sly had just bought Isaac Hayes' house in Mandeville Canyon.
Wow.
And we went to Mandeville Canyon, top of the mountain, big white palatial palace, and white horses on the lot. And we started working in the music business and traveling the world with Sly and the Family Stone.
What did you do for Sly Stone?
I was the concert coordinator for Sly and the Family Stone, and so my job was mainly to get the money at the concerts.
There you go.
You know.
And how did you do that?
Hey, I just go up to the ticket box, give me your ticket manifest, and they'd give me the ticket manifest, and I'd look at it, and I'd match the ticket manifest with the ticket stubs and look at the amount of money they gave me. And if the manifest said one thing and the cash said another thing, I would look at them and say, "You got to change this up, Bubba."
Now, there was a different accounting system back then.
Hey, it was
because
me and
them. They didn't have you. They didn't hand you a check.
No, you went in and got that manifest and looked at it. They had to have a manifest because all the tickets was connected to it, you know. And so I got that, and I used to walk around the stadiums, and people would be selling things. And so I said, "Did you get Sly's permission to sell this?" "Oh, yeah." I said, "Oh, yeah, what?" "Oh, yeah, I got it." I said, "That's impossible because I'm Sly's man, and if it had happened, I would know it happened, so I'm going to make a deal with you. So from now on, anything you sell, Sly and the Family Stone gets 50% of it. So if you want us to continue selling it, I'll have the security guard come back."
You used to walk around with a security guard in a duffel bag.
Yes.
Because they paid in
cash.
Boy, sometimes you love the old days.
Well, let me tell you, Sly said, "JB, you want a security?" I said, "No, man, I don't want to attract no attention." So I had a big money belt around me, and I had on a long Red Fox flank coat on, and I'm walking through, and people didn't know I had $100,000 around my waist, and they go. So Sly said, "Man, don't you get robbed, JB?" I said, "Nobody's gonna bother me. I don't draw that kind of attention. I'm straight up. When you look at me, you look at me. You ain't thinking about doing nothing to me."
Credits to Sly Stone for understanding that not only did he want to have his entourage around him to make him feel good, to make him laugh, and other things that may have not been as good for him, but he had enough common sense to look outside and find somebody who understood business and bring in a you know, you had been with Chevron. You had climbed the corporate ladder.
Yes.
And then he connected to you to want to bring some good common sense.
Yes.
In
because we had them street
matters.
creds, you know. We was from the hood, you know, Hunters Point in San Francisco. So it was really I learned so much, man, you know, hanging out with Bobby Womack and Billy Preston.
Bobby Womack.
You know,
tell me a little bit about now. Who did Bobby Womack write for? I can't.
Sam Cooke.
Sam Cooke. There you go.
And he married Sam Cooke's wife after Sam had passed away. Bobby was amazing.
Boy, he could sing.
Bobby was amazing.
I still got Bobby Womack. Most people don't know who Bobby Womack is. I still got him on my on my Apple Play, man.
Bobby was Sam Cooke's buddy.
Yeah.
And he was an incredible writer and a left-handed guitar player.
Right.
And Bobby was amazing. But I'd be in the studio with Billy Preston, Bobby Womack. Man, I'm trying to think of this.
You had a little connection with another
Tower of Power.
East Bay Grease.
Tower of Power,
baby.
That's they wrote a song. I claim it. They say we didn't write that song for you. I said I keep digging on James Brown.
There you go.
That's my boys. Yes. But I had a great history. Living in San Francisco afforded me exposure to a lot. Jefferson Starship. I used to go to Golden Gate Park, and across the street, across Fulton Street, was the house where the Jefferson Starship was. I mean, all these groups grew up in the neighborhood, and we didn't think anything of it. It was just what you did.
Culture. It was the
Grateful
culture.
Dead, all of that. Everybody lived in San Francisco, man. You know, I had a chance to hang out with them. I had a little reputation in San Francisco. Call JB, he can do that, you know. And I was the guy that went to corporate America from the hood, and they went, "Whoa, this is JB," you know. And my friends would laugh.
I won't forget that, my brother and I grew up always, Tower of Power, man. I'm still a young man.
Yes.
All that kind of stuff, man. Yeah. You grew up listening to that. You loved it. And Tower of Power was playing in Salt Lake or Utah somewhere, and Mickey, my brother, was coming, and he said, "Man, I'm going to Tower of Power." I couldn't. And I said, "Well, you know what, Mick? I'm going to call you back." I called you and said, "Mickey's going to Tower of Power," and you knew the founder of the band, which his name is
Emilio Costello.
So right then you pick up your phone, call Emilio, he answers, and Mickey's backstage when they arrive, having a great conversation with his hero, the Tower of Power.
They're my friends.
Yeah,
They're my
so
friends.
cool.
I was so blessed. Larry Graham Central Station, bass player for Sly and Family Stone. Early years around Prince, before Prince got real big. I mean, I had a chance to hang with a lot, and I think they liked me because I wasn't chasing them. I didn't want to be, so it was all good stuff, man. But I had a lot of fun.
I bet you there is a whole lot of people in this market, the Rocky Mountain states, that don't know that about you, James.
Oh, I'm sure. Because
They know now.
Oh, are we on television? What is this here?
They're going to know now.
I just thought this was decoration, you know?
What brought you to Utah?
Well, I had a young girlfriend, and I was living in Portland, Oregon, and her birthday came up in July, and I called her. I said, "Happy birthday to you. You need to come over here and see me." So she came over to Portland, Oregon, flew over to Portland, Oregon. She says, "You should come to Wyoming or come to Utah." And I said, "What for?" She says, "You will do good in Utah." So she hung with me for a while, and I decided, okay. So we drove back. And as we're coming back, we passed through Salt Lake City, and I said, "Where do you live?" She says, "Up the road a bit." I said, "Up the road?" So we drive up Parley's, what I know is Parley's now, and we go over the mountain, and I go, "Girl, where do you live?" She said, "Up the road." Well, she had moved from Salt Lake City to Evanston, Wyoming.
Ooh.
And
that's far.
We get to Evanston, Wyoming. I said, "What is this?" She said, well, she worked for NBC at the time. She said, "They got me doing southwestern Wyoming and Utah." And I said, okay. So I lived in Evanston, Wyoming for 4.5 years.
Wow.
Before I came. I wrote the state song for Wyoming.
Is that right?
Called Come See Wyoming. I wrote, Dick Cheney was my buddy.
How did that come about that they asked you to write the song?
Well, I was doing a radio show. And I heard this country song, and I said, "This is horrible. Who wrote this?" So I called a travel guy, and I said, "Hey, Steve, this song sucks, man. Can I write another song?" He said, "Do it then." So the state of Wyoming gave me $10,000. Didn't hear a lyric, didn't hear a beat. I called my friend Elmore Peeler in Los Angeles. He used to be in my band. I said, "Elmore, we're going to write a song for the state of Wyoming." He said, "Only you would call me and tell me that we're writing a song." I said, "Well, they've already given me the money." They gave me $10,000 and didn't hear a lyric, So I went up to Jackson Hole, and I got a brochure, and the brochure read Tumbleweed, Stagecoach Still Roam, Teton Mountains. I said, these are the lyrics of the song. So I took all those lyrics and put it together and made a song, flew to Los Angeles, and Elmore got the Los Angeles Philharmonic Orchestra, and they did all the string stuff and everything, and we put the music together, and I gave it to them, and they loved it.
Wow. Now, you mentioned in that story my band.
Hey.
Tell us a little bit about your band.
I managed a guy by the name of Tim Davis. Tim Davis wrote Sailor Boy with Steve Miller and Boss Skaggs. Mm-hmm. And I represented him for a time, and he was just so just crazy. And I said, man, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you that this is music business, so I'm going to make a record. So I called all my friends up. I had Sherry Payne of the Supremes. I had Elmore Peeler, Nicky Hopkins. I had a whole bunch of Darlene Love. I had all of my friends come in the studio, and they said, the only person, Dennis Edwards sung on my song.
Dennis Edwards, man.
And everybody said, the only person that never sung before in this room is JB, and he's got us doing background vocals. And they would all crack it up. And I did a song, and called it JB and a Piece of Cake. And so I had put this band together with all my friends, and Elmore was in my band. And I was just trying to show them that anybody could be in this business. It's just business, you know?
Man, Dennis Edwards.
He was my buddy, man.
When he left, he said it was a taxi, take me to the other side of town, just as fast as you can.
Dennis was my man, man.
I think only me and you would know that.
Dennis was something else, man. I mean, the guys like me because I didn't go, Smokey Robinson, a story.
Oh, Smokey.
We're at the Roxy, and I'm backstage with Smokey, and I got this beautiful young lady with me. And I'm saying, hey, Smokey, this is my new girlfriend here. And she looks at Smokey and she goes, oh, Smokey. And Smokey looked at me. I said, okay. And my girl left me and she went with Smokey.
So, where there's smoke, there is fire. Well, it's funny. I went to the Roxy in 1973, 4, 5, somewhere in the 70s.
Right.
And to see Smokey Robinson.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
At the Roxy. And that was a great little venue. Man, personal. And he was unbelievable.
He still is, man.
He still is.
He still is. Let me tell you a funny story with Greg Allman. Greg Allman was my buddy. Mm-hmm. So Greg called me. He says, man, JB, I need a place to stay. I said, but you're Greg Allman. Why do you need a place to stay? He says, Cher put me out. I said, what do you mean Cher put you out? He said, Cher put me out, man. So I said, well, come to my house. I'm living in Beverly Hills. He come to my house. And one day I come home, and he's on the couch frolicking around. And I said, what are you doing, man? I said, no wonder Cher put you out. I'm taking you back. So we get in the car, and we go up to Bel Air to Cher's house, and she's got an armed guard sitting in front of the gate. And she don't want Greg Allman nowhere around. So she comes out of the house. He said, JB, you're responsible for this. I said, whoa. I ain't got nothing to do with anything he does, you know what I mean? He's just my friend. She said, well, I don't want him anywhere on my property. He had an armed guard sitting in front of the gate, you know?
Look at all these names we have talked about. And now, Bobby Womack is gone.
Yes.
And
Greg is gone.
And Greg is gone. You need to start bringing in some of these folks on your program.
We actually are doing that.
Great. Tell me a little bit.
We're actually doing that. We are in the process now of producing new shows.
Good.
And we're going to go down to Los Angeles and deal with a bunch of different people.
I tell you, my next book that I'm started to write, is winning the fourth quarter of your life.
That's what it is.
And no game is won in the second quarter, the third quarter. It's the fourth quarter.
Absolutely.
You got to finish the fourth quarter. And there's no reason that we ought to bench ourselves in the fourth quarter of our lives.
Absolutely.
So, James, this will come to a conclusion of our episode, and I tell you what, we need to have more because we could go on and on with different subjects. We haven't even talked about what you got out of the entertainment. Well, we're going to continue for just a minute. We got out of the entertainment business, and then you started your own shows, your own television. Tell us a little bit about that.
When I got to Utah, I was invited to a session where Reverend France Davis and the community was a little despondent because TCI Cablevision, which is now Comcast, was not doing any minority programming. So I was invited to the meeting, and when I got in the meeting, the president of TCI says, well, what kind of programs would you guys like in Utah? And the lady raised her hand. She said, Soul Train. And I went, oh, boy, we are in trouble in here. So I said, excuse me. I said, I love Don Cornelius. I had a chance to be there with Sly. I said, he's a great man. I said, but I don't think we want Soul Train to be the messenger for minorities in Utah.
Right.
And I said, why don't we create our own show? So I created a show called New Horizons. I thought I brought a book with me. I didn't.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I'm going to show you this.
I remember this program. Yep.
And back then I was talking about the issues. Affordable housing. This was like in 92, 98, you know. So I did that and stayed on there for 13 years. I ultimately ended up producing a golf show, 47 episodes that went international, a motorcycle show called 1000cc Raw Thrill. And what I've learned in my process is that if you want to do something, do it.
Yeah, just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
And because I found this community needed to understand that we all have ability to do things.
Right. And it has nothing to do with being a minority. It has to do with you got something to say.
Exactly.
But I'll tell you something, New Horizons. I'll never forget this.
Yes.
My brother is the senior advisor to the President of the United States.
Yes.
Coming to Utah, Winter Olympics, as the chair. And all programs want to interview Mickey. And that's when I was just getting to know you. So we pivoted.
Yes.
And the interviewer for his visit was you and your program. I'll never forget it.
And I got a picture of Mickey in this book, which I'm trying to find it. But Mickey was so... Matter of fact, I went to the White House at Mickey's invitation.
Yes.
And I'm going, holy cow, they put the little mirrors underneath
the that's right.
I came to the White House in a limo, and they put the little mirrors and stuff under there. And I was so blown away at being in the White House.
Right.
Jack Kemp was there.
Right.
And Jack came out and said, what you doing, man? I said, hey, I'm here in the White House, you know. It was a fun thing, but Mickey was responsible for that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, he was on your program, and we turned some heads in Utah because ABC, NBC, CBS didn't get the interview. James Brown got the interview.
Yes, I did. And I'm looking for that picture of your brother because he's in here somewhere.
Well, James, let's see.
Yeah, I
want to thank you for being on our program.
Right.
And I want to give you a little gift. This is a copy of my new book, Live Ready, Beyond Think and Grow Rich. And thank you so much, brother.
Amen.
Appreciate it.
God bless you. Thank you. Folks, before we go, I got to just say this. This brother helped me. He said, you know what? You need a couple of suits or something. And the brother took me to the store, to the clothing store, and picked out me a whole new wardrobe. Now, I'm a guy that always had clothes, but he said, you need to be a little more spiffier than this here, and took me to the store, volunteered, supported me, and that was the nemesis of my beginning, knowing that I was walking into the room looking really good, and it was because this gentleman here stuck his hand out, stuck his heart out, and enabled me. And that's what this program is all about, helping you get a better insight on live and be ready. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.